Welcome back to another Tar Heel Illustrated Daily Drop. I'm THI staff writer Brandon Peay. Joining me today is our very own publisher, Mr. Andrew Jones. And you're probably watching this on our rapidly growing YouTube channel. That's Tar Heel. That's Tar Heel Illustrated. But remember, you can catch us on Twitter at Heel Illustrated, on Facebook at Tar Heel Illustrated. Then there's my favorite website, tarheelillustrated.com. You can go on those message boards for $8.33 a month. The price hasn't changed since 2014, which is crazy to me. And let me tell you another good thing about those message boards. During the off season, there's a lot of fake rumors going around on Twitter. People just put the word "my sources" behind everything, and it seems legit. But if you get on those message boards, you can find out which rumors are legit and which ones are a waste of time. So go to tarheelillustrated.com. It's only $8.33. All right, AJ, this daily drop is
I've got to dive in. I got to dive into that for a second. Quick disclaimer. Most of them are crap. Especially the stuff about the ACC and its future stuff. There's so much crap out there, and we address all that stuff.
Yeah, get on those message boards.
It's all inside information. So anyway,
all right. So AJ, today's daily drop is actually a UNC basketball commitment, and I think it's important in 2023 to clarify that this commitment came from the transfer portal. There was a time in recent history where you said UNC basketball commit, and then the assumption was the player came from the high school ranks, but today we have to clarify this. This is a transfer portal commit, and it's James Okonkwo from West Virginia, 6'8", 230 pounds. He comes in, good shot blocker, averaged 3.2 points, 2.5 rebounds a game, and only 11 minutes a game. So AJ, how do you think he fits with UNC next season?
Yeah, we talked a lot in the spring about what UNC was looking for in the transfer portal, and James Okonkwo actually fits perfectly. Had he entered the portal in March, I think Carolina would have been in contact with him soon thereafter and would have made a push for him, because we know 100% from the staff that they were looking for someone that could serve strictly as a backup to Armando. They needed a body to go in there, be able to bang, be able to defend, be able to box out, get some rebounds, got to be able to play the high ball screen, which has killed Carolina at times in recent years. And he can do those things. The production is all gravy, but he's got to be able to handle some of the basics so everything doesn't break down when Armando's not in the game. And he wasn't going to hit the portal initially, he didn't. He was going to stay with West Virginia. But when Bob Huggins had his issues and ended up basically being forced into retirement, the players on that team were allowed to enter the portal, and they could be, and schools could talk to them right away. That one of the good things the NCAA has written into the bylaws here in the last couple of years. In fact, a couple of West Virginia players, like Joe Toussaint, went to Texas Tech. So they've lost some guys, and Carolina's the beneficiary. And also the fact that some of the schools that Okonkwo was looking at recently picked up some big men. So it started what initially looked like, I'm not sure Carolina's going to get this kid, because usually guys want a lot of playing time. Mm-hmm. But in the end, he understands the role. He's accepting the role. By the way, he's on the English national team. He's from England. He's on the 19 and under English national team, just made that club this past week, which is why his official visit was scheduled for later this month, because he's not going to be in the States for a while. So basically, he committed the same way Brady Manick did. A couple of Zooms. I know the laundry is North Carolina. Boom, I'm in. That's kind of how it worked out. So I think this is a really good pickup for Carolina, not because James Okonkwo is going to get his jersey hanging in the rafters one day, but you need to have, they needed another body behind Armando. They absolutely needed it. Some people were saying, well, you got to get a wing and all that stuff. We kept telling them, no, guys, their only remaining point of emphasis in the portal from mid-May and on was to find a guy like Okonkwo. That's all they wanted. That's all they wanted from the portal. Not looking at anybody else, and they got their guy. The fact that they don't have to put Jalen Withers at the 5 for an extended period of time, or Jalen Washington, or a combination of both. They might play some. If Armando goes out like he did at UVA in the first minute, and then you got to find 39 minutes for that spot, yeah, those guys are going to play some there, but it's not going to be just them. You're going to have a guy down there who knows how to use his body. There are a lot of different types of 6'8" basketball players. A lot of them these days are comfortable in the perimeter. This young man is comfortable banging. He's a little bit more of a throwback 6'8", and that's exactly what they need. I would venture to say Brandon, he plays larger than 6'8" because of the physicality factor. He can push a guy off the blocks a little bit defensively, and that's what they need, and that's what they're getting.
Yeah, they definitely need that for they need someone who can get, first of all, they give somebody give Armando a good look in practice. I think that's important. And another thing is, I was watching the Duke game when they played, UNC played Duke, Coach K's last game in Cameron Indoor Stadium. And the only time it appeared UNC lost control of the game is when Armando Peay went to the bench. The defense just that's a Duke went up 7 and I believe 9 the 2 times he went to the bench in the first half. He didn't go to the bench in the second half, but it was just such a big difference when he went to the bench. There's no rim protection. Now with Okonkwo, they have a guy who got 22 blocks last season in 32 games, so that's pretty good. And I think I always thought that a guy like Theo John was really good for Duke, because when Mark Williams went to the bench, they had somebody, the drop off wasn't so significant. And when Armando Peay went to the bench on that team, they had Brady Manick at the 5, and it's just when you asking him to do what 5 men do, the drop off was just so significant. But I think with Okonkwo, there's a much smaller gap in the drop off between him and Armando when Armando goes to the bench now.
Well, think of the David McCormick basket with 30 seconds or so left in the national championship game. Armando went out because the ankle was just killing him. He couldn't go. And this is no offense to Brady. I mean, Brady played a little bit of 5 his last year at Oklahoma, and you'll see that his numbers suffered. It just didn't fit into what his skill set was. And there wasn't a lot of resistance there. Okonkwo might not block a lot of big shots in the ACCs. I think he's a little bit more of a weak side blocker, but the key is pushing a guy out. If someone could have pushed McCormick out 2 feet, that was a catch, turn, shoot sort of jump hook type of shot that he has taken tens of thousands of times in his life, probably. So he knew on the floor where he was, everything was rhythm for him. In the middle of a game, last minute of a national championship game, he got a rhythm shot. What you want a guy like Okonkwo to do, if he's in the game in that situation, is make it not a rhythm shot. And you do that by pushing the guy out a little bit, give him a little bit of resistance, a little bit of body. If you foul, you foul. But if you make it a little bit more uncomfortable, then it increases the chances that they don't make the basket. So you're 100% spot on. I know that Pete Nance was able to provide a little bit of that last year, but this is a totally different player. They got Pete Nance thinking he was a 4. He was never a 4. And it just kind of screwed everything up in a lot of ways. Okonkwo is not going to be mistaken for anything other than what he is. And he's not going to have such a big role that it's going to be an issue. He's a luxury item. He's insurance. And I know a lot of people are like, yeah, yawn, look at his stats. Ain't about that, man. It's about an experienced guy who's got 2 years left, by the way, who now is getting some really good international experience. So another guy with international experience at Carolina's has Elliot Cadeau's has international experience. Ian Jackson's playing 19 and under USA team this summer, getting international experience. I think international experience is huge, especially for a guy from Britain, because the competition within England is not great. So you get a chance to go outside and combine his college experience in the Big 12, which is the best league, and then the international experience he's getting right now. He's going to get better, and he's dealing with lots of different kinds of basketball. So I think it's a really nice pickup for the Tar Heels. And by the way, we didn't run a video last night because this is July and a lot of the staff is off. So Jacob's out of town, David's out of town, Dina was off doing something, and I was at a Durham Bulls Norfolk Tides game with my daughter last night. And my brother drove up from Myrtle Beach to go to the game. I'm an Orioles fan, as you guys can tell back here, and the Orioles AAA team was there. And literally during the first batter, my daughter and I had to get up and leave, come home and get the story done, because we didn't think anything was going to happen for a while. So full disclosure, we didn't know this was going to happen right now. We thought eventually he would be coming to North Carolina, but we thought it was going to be later in the month. So that's why you're getting a daily drop commitment pod instead of a regular commitment pod. So that's the life in this business sometimes, Brandon.
And back to Okonkwo, I think another thing it's important to talk about Okonkwo is his rebounding. When you look at his game log, he has some very efficient games. You just looking down, I'm seeing 9 rebounds in 14 minutes, 10 rebounds in 14 minutes, 10 rebounds in 22 minutes. So he has some game. He he has a valuable skill that he can provide for the Tar Heels. He's a valuable big man. He can protect the rim. He can grab rebounds, and sometimes that's all you need. I think North Carolina has enough scoring around that if Amarno Baycott goes out, there's enough other people on the roster who can score. But they needed someone else who could be that stalwart on the defensive end, clean up the glass, and I think they got that in Okonkwo.
Yeah, he'll need to be a little bit more offensive because part of what's going to make Carolina's offensive approach work is the fact that the interior has to be honored at all times by the team. So he'll have to show some scoring ability, but not a ton. And I agree with you. By the way, 10 points, 10 rebounds against Oklahoma, and that's a club that play a little bit slower pace. So and they're physical. So I think that speaks a little bit to what you might get off the bench from him on occasion. So this is a good pickup. I think the roster's set. They got 11 on scholarship now. I think Hubert will use the other 2 for walk-ons. Nothing wrong with that. I don't think they need anything else. Everybody stays healthy. They have 11 guys that might be able to help. I don't know. I think we're looking at Zayden High perhaps as a possible project this year, and I think he understands that. It'll be interesting to see how the backcourt shakes out. You know, how many minutes Wojcik gets, how do they use Trimble, all that kind of stuff. We'll get into all that as we get closer to the season. In fact, we have our look ahead series starting next week. So we get to add Okonkwo to it. So that's 9 college players and 2 freshmen in the look ahead series, where each week we'll focus on a different Tar Heel with a variety of content items. And that'll take us into September. So practice starts late September, and then the opener November 5th or 6th against Radford. So it's 4 months away. Yeah. So we are, I guess, is almost as far away from the season starting as we are from an ending. I guess it was April, May, June, July. Yeah, we're right in the middle.
Yeah,
right in the middle. So anyway, this is good stuff. This is good for Carolina, and it's good for us because now we don't have to really worry about anybody else out there in the portal. Because I think Hubert's done.
Knock on wood.
We're hoping he's done.
Well, AJ, I think that's a good place to stop. Again, James Okonkwo becomes the newest member of the UNC basketball team. For TarHeelIllustrated.com, I've been Brandon Peay. He's been Andrew Jones. Thank you for watching.
Thanks.